I didn't know that a single act of kindness could destroy everything I loved. People say rain washes things clean. That night, it didn't clean anything. It exposed who I really was, and who he really was. My name is Lucas. And this is how my life started falling apart, one drop at a time. It was past midnight. The kind of night where the world feels empty, like everyone else got the memo to stay inside, and you didn't. The rain wasn't gentle. It was aggressive. Loud. Angry. Each drop hit the road like it had a personal problem with the ground. I was walking home from my second job. Yeah, second job. Because in my family, money didn't grow on trees. It grew out of stress. Out of long hours. Out of silence at the dinner table. My shoes were soaked. My hoodie clung to my back like wet skin. My phone was on 2%. And that's when I saw him. A man standing under a broken bus stop shelter. No umbrella. No bag. Just a tall figure, completely still, staring into the rain like he was waiting for something, or someone. I almost walked past him. Almost. But then he looked at me. Not with fear. Not with confidence. With need. Brother, he said, stepping closer, his voice rough like it had been scraped by the night. Please? I just need one place to sleep. Just tonight. I stopped. Every instinct told me, keep walking. Because life had already taught me something important. Kindness isn't free. It costs you. Still, something about him felt off in a way I couldn't explain. Not dangerous. Not weak. Just empty. What happened to you? I asked. He gave a small, tired smile. Everything. That should have been my warning. But instead, I nodded. Come with me. My house wasn't big. But it was warm. Old walls. Wooden floors. And a history that lived in every corner. My father, Robert, was sitting on the sofa when we walked in. He looked up from his tea, eyes narrowing slightly at the stranger behind me. Who's this, Lucas? Someone who got stuck in the rain, I said. My mother, Elena, came out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She took one look at the man and her face softened. Sit, she said. You look frozen. We gave him dry clothes. Hot food. A blanket. He ate slowly. Quietly. Like someone who hadn't eaten properly in days. My name is Victor, he finally said. Lucas, I replied. That's my father, Robert. My mother, Elena. Victor nodded politely. He thanked us too much. You know how some people say, thank you, like they're just being polite? Victor said it like he was memorizing us. Like he was studying our faces. I didn't notice it then. But I remember it now. That night, while the rain kept punching the roof, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I couldn't sleep. Not because of Victor. Because of life. I was tired of being invisible. Tired of being poor. Tired of watching my parents age faster than they should. I didn't know that a stranger was sleeping in the next room. And dreaming about stealing everything from us. The next morning, Victor was gone. No goodbye. No note. No sound. Just, gone. My mother said, I hope he finds peace. My father just nodded. I went to work. And life went on. For about 3 weeks. Then the papers came. Legal papers. Thick. Heavy. Full of words that didn't belong to us. They said our house wasn't ours. That it belonged to Victor. That he had documents. That he had proof. My father laughed at first. Actually laughed. Someone is joking, he said. But then he read the second page. Then the third. And his face changed. Not to anger. To something worse. Fear. From that day on, my father stopped sleeping. He walked the house at night like it was already gone. Touching walls. Windows. The door frame. Like he was saying goodbye without saying the words. And Victor? Victor was preparing to take everything. This wasn't just about a house. This was about legacy. Memory. Blood. And the man we helped in the rain was about to become the man who buried my family alive. The moment I realized Victor wasn't just a stranger was the moment my life truly changed. It wasn't the papers. It wasn't the theft. It was the smile he had when he signed them. I watched it through the legal notice that arrived in our mailbox. Thick envelope. Gold embossed seal. Victor had stolen the house. Our home. Everything my grandfather built. And he did it with ease. My father, Robert, couldn't recover. He walked the house like a ghost, muttering things I couldn't understand. My mother, Elena, cried quietly in the kitchen every night, afraid I'd notice. And me? I couldn't even look at Victor's name without my stomach twisting into a knot of rage and disbelief. I wanted to confront him immediately. I wanted to shout. To punch. To burn every document he owned. But something stopped me. Patience. My father had always said, revenge without planning is chaos. And I promised him, before he even understood what was happening, I would make Victor pay. I started small. First, I gathered information. Every shred I could find about him. His business partners. His private investments. His friends. His secrets. I became invisible. A ghost in his world. Every time he spoke to a business associate, I was listening. Every time he laughed at someone, I was memorizing the expression. Every document he signed, I photocopied secretly. Victor had one fatal flaw: arrogance. He believed everyone who bowed to him was loyal. He believed no one could touch him. He believed he was untouchable. I learned his patterns. Where he ate lunch. Who he trusted blindly. Which contracts he signed without reading. And slowly, I started placing pieces. One evening, I met my old friend Chris at a small cafe downtown. "Chris," I said quietly, sliding a folder across the table. He looked at me with confusion, then recognition. "It's him," I whispered. "Victor. He's destroyed my family. My father, my home. He needs to pay. Not tomorrow. Not this week, but I'll take him apart, piece by piece." Chris nodded. He had always known I could do things people considered impossible. And together, we started building a plan. Meanwhile, Victor carried on as if nothing had changed. He hosted dinner parties in the house he stole. Invited people who used to know my family. He laughed at stories about our family history. He mocked the legacy of Robert and Elena as if it were a joke. I watched from the shadows. And every laugh, every sip of wine he took, made my resolve stronger. Weeks turned into months. I joined his company under a low-level position. He didn't know me. Not as Lucas. Just another worker, unnoticed. But inside, I was observing, documenting, memorizing. Victor's arrogance grew. His trust in the wrong people increased. He had no idea that every secret he revealed was a brick in the trap I was building. And then, the first cracks appeared. One of his partners, Oliver, started complaining about missing funds. Another client reported suspicious behavior. Victor shrugged it off. He didn't see the pattern forming. He didn't see the web tightening around him. I smiled quietly, thinking, "Soon, Victor. Very soon, your empire will crumble. And you'll wonder who was standing in the shadows all along." But I didn't rush. Revenge, I had learned, wasn't about speed. It was about precision. I could see Victor every day, smiling like a king in a stolen kingdom, and I would let him. Until the moment he had nothing left. And that moment? It would be mine. The thing about patience is, it changes you. I wasn't the same Lucas who helped a stranger in the rain anymore. I wasn't the boy who quietly worked 2 jobs and pretended life was fair. I was a shadow now. Invisible in Victor's world. Yet closer than he could ever imagine. Step 1. Gathering allies. I started small. Chris was my first recruit. He knew Victor from the old neighborhood, had seen him lie, cheat, and manipulate without remorse. Then came Michael, my lawyer friend. Quiet, precise, deadly in his understanding of legal loopholes. He didn't ask questions. He didn't judge. He just nodded, like he already knew what had to happen. And slowly, I recruited more, people Victor trusted blindly, unaware that Lucas was quietly weaving his web. Step 2. Documenting everything. Every email, every signed paper, every shady deal. I stored it. I learned Victor's routine. Lunch at the Italian place every Thursday. Phone calls at exactly 3:12 p.m. Meetings with Oliver at 7 p.m. sharp. I became him. I could predict what he would do next. Which side he would favor. Which lie he would tell. And I waited. Step 3. Subtle sabotage. It started with small disruptions. A misfiled contract here. A missing invoice there. An anonymous tip to a client about his fraudulent behavior. Victor noticed, but shrugged it off. He laughed at the first warning signs, thinking they were coincidences. He didn't realize the storm had already begun. The pieces were moving. The trap was closing. One night, I watched him through the glass wall of the office building. He was alone. Talking to himself, as he often did. Smiling like he owned the world. I imagined walking in. Telling him everything I knew. Watching the color drain from his face. Instead, I stayed silent. I waited. Weeks passed. His empire began to shake. Partners questioned transactions. Lawyers whispered about irregularities. Even Oliver started looking at him with doubt. Victor was panicking quietly, though he didn't admit it. And every time he tried to fix one problem, I had already set up 3 more. I wasn't just playing chess. I was rewriting the board while he slept. Step 4. Emotional manipulation. Victor was arrogant, but human. And humans have weaknesses. He trusted friends, envied rivals, feared exposure. I fed rumors carefully. I let him hear them. I let him doubt the people closest to him. It was subtle. No explosions. No obvious attacks. Just the quiet, growing paranoia that eats away at a person, from the inside out. And all the while, I remembered the rain. That night when he had smiled at me. That night when I had thought I was helping someone. That night when he decided my family's life was nothing. I let that memory fuel me. Not with hate. Not with rage. But with calculated patience. Every move I made was revenge in slow motion. Every whisper, every leak, every document, a nail in the coffin of his arrogance. Lucas had changed. Victor had no idea who I really was. And the endgame? The endgame would leave him with nothing. But I didn't rush it. I let him crumble. Step by step. Mistake by mistake. Lie by lie. Until the day came when he would realize. The shadow he ignored had become his greatest nightmare. Victor thought he was untouchable. That his empire, built on lies and stolen trust, would never crumble. He laughed at warnings. Ignored whispers. Smiled at rumors. He didn't know I was already inside. Inside his world. Inside his mind. Every secret, every mistake, every betrayal, catalogued, memorized, ready. It started with small tremors. A partner missing from an important meeting. A transfer gone wrong. A deal that collapsed without explanation. Victor grew suspicious, but not of me. I was invisible. Lucas, the quiet employee, blending into the background. He started pacing. Walking the halls like a caged animal. Shouting at Oliver. Questioning everyone. His empire was shaking, but he didn't see the hands pulling it apart. I had built my allies carefully. Chris was my eyes in the city, reporting back every conversation, every movement. Michael handled legal gaps, quietly preparing the papers that would soon choke Victor's world. And I? I watched, waited, calculated. Every action I took pushed Victor closer to the edge, closer to total collapse. Victor made a mistake he didn't even notice. He left a folder on his desk. Open. Unlocked. Inside, all his personal dealings. Names of partners who would betray him. Evidence of fraud. Every tiny misstep exposed. I slipped in that night. Quietly. Collected the folder. Photographed every page. It was perfect. The next day, Victor noticed. Panic started creeping in. He accused Oliver. He called meetings, demanded explanations. No one could produce answers. And the seeds of distrust grew, quietly, invisibly, within his own walls. Victor's arrogance began to collapse into paranoia. He didn't know who to trust. He stopped sleeping. He double-checked emails, contracts, accounts, everything. Every mistake he had ever made, I had catalogued. Every betrayal, every lie, I had proof. And every day, I fed the storm. Meanwhile, I kept my distance. Lucas was still just the quiet employee. No one suspected me. Not Victor. Not Oliver. Not even the lawyers. And that was the power of patience. One evening, I sat in the office cafeteria with Chris, whispering quietly. "He's close to unraveling," I said. Chris nodded. "Sooner than you think." I smiled. "He thinks he's untouchable. But shadows always catch the light." The tension was suffocating. Victor could feel it. The walls closing in. The whispers. The doubts. The cracks forming in his empire. And yet, he still didn't know who was behind it. That was the beauty of it. Step by step, mistake by mistake, Victor's world was collapsing. And I was ready for the moment when the first scream would echo. The moment he would realize. The man he ignored in the rain was the one orchestrating his downfall. Victor's world was trembling, though he didn't realize it yet. Every meeting he attended, every partner he trusted, every signature he made, all were quietly unraveling. I had spent months studying him, tracking his patterns, listening to whispers in the shadows. And now, it was time to set the final stage. Step 1, isolate him. I made subtle moves at the company. Leaks. Rumors. Misplaced emails. Friends and allies started questioning him. Partners began whispering behind closed doors. Victor felt it. The panic. The suspicion. But he didn't know who was behind it. Step 2, expose his web. I had all the evidence, documents, emails, hidden accounts, every corrupt deal. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every illegal move. And now, it was only a matter of time before it would all come to light. Step 3, psychological dismantling. Victor began pacing constantly. Sleeping less. Trusting no one. Every phone call made him jump. Every meeting made him sweat. And all the while, I watched quietly, calm, invisible. One night, Victor made a mistake. He left his personal laptop unattended. A critical folder, one that contained all the proof of his empire's corruption, was open. I entered silently. Photographed every page. Sent copies to journalists, partners, even his most loyal friends. The storm was ready. Victor started noticing. Partners confronted him. Clients pulled out. Legal inquiries started rolling in. He shouted at Oliver, accused him of betrayal. Oliver denied everything. Victor was losing control. And that's when I knew, the final act was near. Lucas, the quiet employee, had become the master of shadows. I didn't confront him yet. I didn't need to. The walls were closing in. The whispers, the doubts, the evidence, it all worked like a trap. Every step he had taken, every arrogance-filled laugh, every moment of ignoring us. It had led to this. Step 4, prepare the reveal. I gathered the media, key partners, and legal authorities. Carefully. Every detail precise. Every document undeniable. Every betrayal exposed. Victor didn't know yet. And that fear, that ignorance, was the sweetest part. The tension was unbearable. I watched him pacing in his office, unaware of how close the end had come. He laughed at a small joke from Oliver, the kind of laugh that hides insecurity. And I smiled quietly to myself. The first real cracks were forming. The panic growing inside him. And the final act was only hours away. Victor's world was shaking. He didn't know it yet, but the cracks were spreading fast. I had spent months quietly observing him, learning every weakness, memorizing every habit. Every partner he trusted blindly, every secret he hid, all would soon play into the trap I was building. Step 1, pressure from every side. I started sending anonymous tips to his partners. Small errors in contracts. Subtle hints of corruption. Rumors whispered in hallways he didn't hear. Victor felt it, a subtle tension in the air. But he didn't know where it was coming from. He yelled at Oliver. He blamed clients. He even questioned his own team. And still, he didn't suspect me. Step 2, isolate and observe. Lucas, the quiet employee, became invisible. I watched Victor's every move. Every time he smiled, I memorized the nervous twitch in his eyes. Every time he laughed, I catalogued the arrogance. Every phone call he made, I traced the lies he was telling. Step 3, slow collapse. Partners began questioning him. Funds were disappearing. Clients were pulling out of deals. Victor's paranoia started building. He double-checked accounts. Called emergency meetings. Shouted at Oliver, at his assistants, at the lawyers. But nothing fixed the growing storm. Nothing stopped the web tightening around him. Step 4, psychological tension. Victor stopped sleeping well. He walked the halls alone, muttering to himself. He distrusted friends who had stood by him for years. Every glance, every whisper, made him flinch. And all the while, I remained patient. Invisible. Calm. Observing. Every tiny misstep he made fed the trap I had prepared. Step 5, setting the stage for the final act. I had gathered allies, evidence, and leverage. Every move carefully planned. Every detail precise. The storm was ready to break. But the final moment, when Victor would truly realize what was coming, had not yet arrived. Lucas had become a master of shadows. Victor's arrogance, once untouchable, was crumbling silently. And the man who had destroyed my family still didn't know who was orchestrating his downfall. The first screams, the exposure, the collapse, they were coming. Soon. But not yet. Step 1, invisible moves. I started planting small, precise errors in his projects. Invoices missing. Contracts slightly altered. Clients received warnings anonymously. Partners noticed, panicked, and questioned each other. Victor was frantic. Shouting at Oliver, accusing him of sabotage. Calling his lawyers repeatedly. Demanding loyalty from everyone around him. But Lucas, the quiet observer, remained invisible. Step 2, paranoia takes hold. Victor began second-guessing everyone. He walked the halls at night. He inspected his office repeatedly. He reread emails, contracts, every note. Nothing gave him confidence. Even Oliver started to doubt him. Even loyal employees hesitated. Every step he took, I had predicted. Every reaction I had anticipated. The trap was tightening, silently, invisibly. Step 3, psychological warfare. I let him see small things slip. A misplaced file. A misaddressed email. A rumor about betrayal whispered just loudly enough. Victor's arrogance faltered. He tried to fix one problem, but 3 more appeared. He stopped trusting himself. And that's exactly what I wanted. Step 4, allies in position. Chris reported the tiniest moves Victor made outside the office. Michael prepared legal channels that could strike at any moment. I had mapped his empire's every weakness. And now all that remained was to wait for him to falter completely. Step 5, the stage is set. Lucas had become a shadow inside Victor's world. Victor's empire teetered on the edge of collapse. The whispers, the doubts, the evidence, all converged into one inevitable breaking point. And I stood in the shadows, watching. Knowing every misstep would push him closer to ruin. But the final act? The moment Victor would realize who had been orchestrating his downfall had not yet come. Victor's arrogance had begun to crack. The cracks were small at first, a partner questioning a decision, a client pulling out, a rumor he couldn't ignore. But I had turned them into a storm. Step 1, The first dominoes. I leaked documents showing inconsistencies in his deals. Not enough to destroy him yet, but enough to make him sweat. He called Oliver, demanding explanations. Oliver had none. Victor raged silently in his office, pacing like a caged animal. He tried to reclaim control. But every time he fixed one issue, 3 more appeared. And I watched. Patient. Calm. Invisible. Step 2, isolation deepens. Friends began avoiding him. Partners started questioning his judgment. Even his most loyal employees hesitated to defend him. Victor started second-guessing himself. He double-checked contracts, emails, accounts. And every tiny mistake I had planted now seemed massive. He was losing confidence. His empire, built on lies and stolen trust, was quietly unraveling. Step 3, psychological pressure intensifies. I let him overhear whispers. A hint here, a rumor there. I never confronted him directly. The tension, the paranoia? It was working faster than I imagined. Victor's nights grew restless. He muttered to himself. He replayed conversations. He doubted everyone. He feared betrayal at every corner. Step 4, Lucas' shadow grows. Lucas, once invisible, now controlled the narrative. I coordinated every move with Chris and Michael. Every partner, every client, every potential ally, they were quietly under my influence. Victor didn't notice yet. He couldn't see the shadow that had grown inside his world. The trap was closing. Step 5, the stage is almost ready. Every misstep, every mistake, every lie Victor had told was ready to be revealed. All I had to do was wait. And I was patient. Because patience had been my greatest weapon all along. Victor still believed he could survive this storm. He still believed he was untouchable. But soon, every doubt, every fear, every weakness would collapse onto him. The countdown had begun. Victor's world was trembling. He could feel it, even if he didn't understand why. Every move he made only pushed him closer to collapse. Every partner questioning him. Every client doubting him. Every whisper, every glance, it was tightening the noose. Step 1, the subtle strikes. I started planting small but undeniable evidence of his corruption. Invoices he lost. Contracts slightly altered. Whispers of betrayal strategically spread. Victor noticed the first signs. He shouted at Oliver. He demanded answers from his lawyers. He scanned emails and accounts obsessively. Nothing fixed the growing tension. Nothing stopped the web tightening around him. Step 2, the psychological squeeze. Victor stopped trusting anyone. He double-checked every detail, every decision, every interaction. He questioned friends, partners, even himself. The man who once laughed at our misfortune now feared his own shadow. Every twitch, every nervous glance, every forced smile. I had catalogued it. Every crack in his arrogance would soon widen. Step 3, allies in position. Chris monitored his movements outside the office. Michael prepared legal channels to strike at the exact moment. Every partner, every client, every loophole, ready to be exploited. Lucas, the quiet observer, had become the invisible hand controlling the chaos. Step 4, final countdown. The storm was close. Victor could feel it building. He paced endlessly. He yelled. He panicked. But the shadow orchestrating it all remained unseen. Every mistake he made, every lie he told, every misstep, it was feeding the trap I had spent months building. And soon, everything he had built on arrogance, lies, and betrayal would begin to crumble. But not yet. The final act, the moment of truth, the ultimate payoff. That was still to come. Victor's empire was trembling on the edge. He could sense the chaos closing in, yet he still didn't know who controlled it. Every partner questioning him. Every client reconsidering their deals. Every minor mistake magnified into a crisis. He screamed at Oliver, demanded answers, called lawyers frantically. But no one could stop the storm he had unknowingly invited. Step 1, subtle evidence, amplified. I sent anonymous tips to partners and clients. I leaked emails showing inconsistencies. Small financial errors I planted weeks ago became undeniable proof. Victor noticed. He panicked. He raged. But he had no clue I was the one orchestrating everything. Step 2, paranoia reigned supreme. Victor no longer trusted anyone, not Oliver, not his employees, not even his closest allies. He questioned himself constantly. Every phone call, every document, every meeting, a potential threat. His arrogance, once unshakable, was cracking. And I watched, calm and patient, knowing every step of his breakdown was by design. Step 3, allies positioned for the final move. Chris reported every outside interaction. Michael prepared legal traps that could strike at the perfect moment. Partners who had been subtly manipulated over weeks were now ready to turn on him. Lucas, the quiet observer, had become the invisible force guiding the collapse. Step 4, the storm approaches. Victor paced, muttered, and raged. He sensed the chaos, but the puppeteer remained unseen. Every lie he had told. Every partner he betrayed. Every mistake he ignored. It was all part of the trap. And yet, the ultimate reveal, the moment where he would finally see the shadow that had destroyed him, was not here yet. I smiled quietly. Patience had been my greatest weapon. And the storm was about to break. Victor could feel it. The walls of his empire were cracking. Every day, every hour, every small mistake became a hammer striking his confidence. He called Oliver into his office. "Why are my partners turning against me?" he yelled. Oliver swallowed hard. I don't know, sir." Victor slammed his fist on the desk, papers flying. He didn't see the trap, he didn't even suspect the quiet shadow orchestrating everything from inside. Step 1, the invisible hand. Lucas moved quietly in the background. Every rumor I planted. Every email I subtly altered. Every whisper of betrayal, all perfectly timed. Victor's paranoia grew. He stopped sleeping. Every glance at his employees made him flinch. Every phone call felt like a potential attack. Step 2, partners and allies teetering. I subtly manipulated Oliver and other key partners. Every minor doubt, every hesitation, carefully nurtured until they questioned Victor's decisions. I watched him spiral. He yelled at assistants. He accused lawyers. He tried to cover mistakes he didn't even know existed. And with every failed attempt, the noose around him tightened. Step 3, psychological squeeze intensifies. Victor began replaying past conversations in his head. Small missteps, old betrayals, past arrogance. Every memory now turned against him. And yet, Lucas remained calm. I never confronted him directly. I let the tension, fear, and paranoia do the work. Step 4, final moves in place. Chris monitored Victor outside the office. Michael had legal levers ready to strike at the perfect moment. The partners, clients, and key witnesses were subtly aligned. The stage for the collapse was set. Victor could sense the storm, but he still didn't know who had built it. Every whisper, every misstep, every doubt. Was Lucas' silent, invisible hand. And the moment of revelation, the ultimate collapse, was coming. Soon. But not yet. Victor's world was on the verge of collapse. Every glance, every whispered conversation, every phone call reminded him of the growing chaos. He stormed into Oliver's office. "This is spiraling out of control," he shouted. Oliver stayed silent, carefully measuring his words. Victor's fury couldn't see the truth. Lucas, the quiet observer, had been pulling the strings all along. Step 1, the invisible web tightens. Every small mistake Victor had made in the past weeks now appeared massive. Invoices misplaced, contracts questioned, partnerships shaken. Even the smallest misstep fueled his paranoia. Lucas moved like a shadow, orchestrating everything quietly. Each partner subtly influenced. Every legal avenue aligned. Every rumor carefully planted. Victor began to doubt himself more than anyone else. He questioned his decisions, his allies, even his own judgment. Step 2, psychological pressure peaks. Victor stopped trusting anyone. He walked the halls late at night, muttering. He replayed old conversations, relived past mistakes. Even his closest friends began to hesitate, unsure of his commands. The once confident, arrogant man was now consumed by suspicion. Every smile felt like a lie. Every glance a threat. Lucas had transformed from the quiet employee into a shadow of fear in Victor's mind. Step 3, allies ready. Chris monitored Victor's every outside move. Michael had legal maneuvers ready to strike instantly. Partners and clients were now subtly questioning Victor's authority. The final phase of the plan was within reach. Step 4, storm about to break. Victor could feel it. The walls of his empire were trembling. The whispers. The doubts. The fear. It was closing in. But the ultimate collapse, the moment when he would see who had orchestrated his downfall, had not arrived yet. Lucas smiled quietly in the background. Patient. Calm. Invisible. The trap was set. The storm was ready to break. And Victor? He had no idea. Victor was a storm about to break. He could feel the walls of his empire cracking. But he had no idea who held the matches. Every partner, every client, every minor leak I had orchestrated had converged. The tension in his office was suffocating. The whispers outside, the emails, the subtle hints of betrayal, all sharpened the knife of fear in his mind. Step 1, the first cracks. Victor stormed through the office halls. "Who leaked this?" he shouted at Oliver, who stayed silent, careful not to provoke him further. He accused lawyers. He called employees. He even questioned friends. Nothing fixed the chaos. Everything he touched seemed to unravel faster. Step 2, paranoia consumes. Victor's arrogance had evaporated. Now, every glance at a colleague, every email, every phone call was a potential threat. He started pacing, mumbling, replaying past mistakes, imagining betrayals that might not even exist. Lucas remained calm, patient, invisible. The quiet observer had become the master of the storm he could not see. Step 3, Allies in position. Chris monitored all outside interactions. Michael had legal leverage ready to strike the moment Victor faltered. Partners and clients were questioning their loyalty, subtly influenced by me. Every domino had been carefully aligned. Every misstep he had made, every lie he had told, every betrayal. They were all pieces of the trap Lucas had designed. Step 4, the final countdown. Victor could feel the storm approaching. He sensed his empire teetering. He panicked. He shouted. He tried to fix mistakes he didn't even fully understand. And all the while, the shadow behind it, Lucas, remained unseen. Every misstep, every doubt, every fear, feeding the silent, invisible hand that controlled his collapse. The ultimate revelation, the moment of true confrontation, was very close. The storm was about to break. But it had not arrived yet. Victor was teetering on the edge. He could feel it. The tension in the air. The whispers in hallways. The doubts of his partners. He didn't see the shadow behind it. The quiet Lucas, who had watched, waited, and planned every single move. Step 1, Precision Strikes. I began subtle but undeniable pressure on his key accounts. Errors in invoices. Contracts questioned. Partners reconsidering deals. Nothing overt, nothing direct. Just enough to make Victor sweat. He shouted at Oliver, demanded explanations, raged at lawyers. But every move he made only tightened the trap around him. Step 2, Paranoia amplified. Victor no longer trusted anyone. He questioned his employees. He doubted friends. He even doubted his own judgment. Every small mistake now felt catastrophic. And all the while, Lucas remained calm. Invisible. Every twitch, every glance, every word, catalogued and used. Step 3, Allies ready for final act. Chris monitored his every outside move. Michael had legal maneuvers poised to strike instantly. Partners and clients were subtly aligned. The stage was set. Every domino in Victor's world had been placed by Lucas. Every weak point, every flaw, every betrayal, carefully arranged. Step 4, Final suspense build. Victor sensed the storm closing in. The panic was evident in his movements. He walked the halls at night, muttering. He reread contracts, double-checked accounts, called meetings frantically. The pressure, the paranoia, the tension. It was unbearable. Lucas observed silently. Patient. Calculating. The invisible hand controlling the collapse. The final moment, the ultimate reveal, was within reach. The storm was ready to break. But not yet. Victor's empire was trembling, though he still didn't know why. Every partner questioning him. Every client reconsidering deals. Every minor error amplified into chaos. He stormed into Oliver's office, face red, hands shaking. Explain this. Why is everything falling apart? Oliver said nothing. Victor's rage only made the cracks wider. Step 1, Invisible manipulation. Every subtle email, every planted rumor, every minor mistake I had orchestrated over months now converged. Victor felt the pressure, but he didn't know who had placed it. He raged, panicked, and lashed out at everyone, yet I remained unseen. Step 2, Paranoia escalates. Victor stopped trusting anyone. He questioned every employee, every friend, even Oliver. Every glance, every conversation, every slight mistake seemed catastrophic. He replayed past decisions, imagined betrayals. Even the smallest whisper felt like a threat. Lucas, calm, patient, invisible, observed every reaction. Every twitch, every flinch, every moment of fear. Catalogued for the final phase of the plan. Step 3, Allies in position. Chris monitored Victor's movements outside the office. Michael had legal levers poised to strike at the exact moment. Partners, clients, and key witnesses were subtly influenced, aligned, and ready. The trap was complete. Step 4, Tension at its peak. Victor sensed the storm closing in. He paced. He muttered. He double-checked every contract, every account, every decision. Nothing restored his confidence. Lucas smiled quietly in the shadows. Patient. Calculating. The invisible hand guiding the chaos. The final collapse, the ultimate revelation, was almost here. The storm was ready to break. But not yet. Victor could feel it now. The walls of his empire were cracking. The whispers, the doubts, the subtle betrayals, all closing in. And he still didn't know who had orchestrated it. He stormed through the office, papers flying, voice booming. Who is sabotaging everything? Even Oliver avoided eye contact. No one could give him answers. The storm was invisible, Lucas was the calm shadow guiding it. Step 1, Subtle chaos unfolds. Every small misstep Victor had made in the last weeks now looked catastrophic. Invoices missing, contracts questioned, partnerships teetering. Clients reconsidering deals. Every minor error amplified in his mind. He yelled. He demanded explanations. He raged. But every reaction played right into the trap Lucas had designed. Step 2. Paranoia consumes completely. Victor no longer trusted his allies, his team, or even himself. He replayed past decisions. Reimagined betrayals. Every conversation, every glance felt like a threat. And all the while, Lucas remained invisible. Calm. Calculating. The silent orchestrator of his chaos. Step 3. Final allies ready. Chris monitored all Victor's outside interactions. Michael had legal tools at the perfect moment. Partners and clients had been subtly manipulated and were ready to act. Every domino Lucas had placed was poised to fall. Every flaw, every lie, every betrayal. Ready to explode. Step 4. The ultimate suspense. Victor could sense the storm was near. He walked endlessly. He muttered. He double-checked every document, every account, every contract. The pressure was unbearable. The paranoia was consuming him. And Lucas, the quiet shadow, smiled quietly in the background. The final collapse, the revelation of who had orchestrated everything, was within reach. The storm was set to break. But not yet. Victor's empire teetered on the brink. He could feel it in every phone call, every meeting, every glance. And still, he didn't know who had orchestrated the chaos. Lucas had become a shadow inside his world, invisible, patient, calculating. Every small misstep, every overlooked detail, every whispered doubt. All part of the trap. Step 1. Precision tension. Invoices, contracts, minor financial errors. Everything Lucas had planted weeks ago now multiplied under Victor's frantic eyes. He raged at Oliver, demanded explanations from lawyers, yelled at employees. Nothing restored his confidence. Step 2. Paranoia reaches peak. Victor no longer trusted anyone. He questioned every partner, every friend, every employee. He second-guessed himself constantly. Every glance, every conversation, every minor error felt like a threat. And all the while, Lucas remained unseen. Calm. Calculating. Patient. Every reaction feeding the final stage of the plan. Step 3. Allies and dominoes. Chris tracked every outside movement. Michael had legal levers ready to strike instantly. Partners and clients were subtly aligned and ready to act. Lucas had orchestrated every piece perfectly. Every domino, every weak spot, every flaw, poised to fall. Step 4. The storm is ready. Victor sensed it coming. The tension, the fear, the whispers, suffocating him. He muttered, paced, double-checked every decision. The paranoia was overwhelming. Lucas watched silently. The shadow controlling the storm. The invisible hand guiding Victor toward his eventual collapse. The final revelation, the ultimate confrontation, was near. The storm was ready to break. But not yet. The storm had arrived. Victor's empire, once untouchable, now teetered on the edge of collapse. Every partner questioned him. Every client pulled out. Every hidden flaw he had carefully ignored for years now erupted into chaos. He stormed into his office, red-faced, shaking. "Who did this?" he roared at Oliver, who stayed silent, fear in his eyes. He called his lawyers. He screamed at his assistants. Nothing worked. And then, the truth hit him like a thunderbolt. Lucas stepped forward, calm, silent, collected. The man Victor had dismissed, ignored, and underestimated. The quiet shadow inside his empire. The one who had orchestrated every misstep, every doubt, every domino. Victor froze. "Lucas, you," he whispered, disbelief shaking his voice. "Yes," Lucas said, voice steady. "I watched. I waited. And I acted." Every ally, every partner, every client carefully aligned under Lucas' control now turned against Victor. Contracts were voided. Funds frozen. His empire crumbled before his eyes. Victor screamed. He tried to fight. He tried to regain control. But it was too late. Months of arrogance, lies, and betrayal had finally caught up to him. Every move he had made, every person he had wronged, every mistake he had ignored. They all came together in Lucas' masterpiece of revenge. Victor fell to his knees, defeated. Lucas looked down, calm but satisfied. Justice had been served. Patience had won. And the man who had destroyed Lucas' family finally paid the price. Reflective wrap-up. Lucas didn't gloat. He didn't celebrate loudly. He simply restored what mattered most. His family, his home, and his sense of justice. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It's patient, calculated, and completely inevitable. Outro call to action. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell us in the comments. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And of course, subscribe for more stories like this.